Good evening and welcome to another episode of Babes in Charge. My name is Whitney Barkley and I am the Chief Connector and founder of the Barter Babes. The Barter Babes is a platform that connects female entrepreneurs with one another to eliminate their startup costs. Tonight, we are all about Babes in Charge, and this is a series that will allow you to meet someone who can help you in your entrepreneurial journey. We have the lovely Miss Emerald Sparks with us tonight, and she is going to talk about why cash flow is queen. I cannot stress that enough because so many new entrepreneurs fail in business because they don't really understand the concept of cash flow. I myself have a very limited knowledge, so I will be learning with you all tonight. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to first let you all know that if you have any questions, feel free to answer them in the comment box below on YouTube, or feel free to tweet us at the Barter Babes using the hashtag #BabesInCharge. Without further ado, I just want to allow Emerald to introduce herself and to just let us know who she is, what she does, and what we're going to be covering tonight.
Hi, everyone. Like she said, my name is Emerald Sparks. I'm an author and a financial strategist. So what I typically help people do is money management. I create debt repayment strategies. I help people create budgets. I help people get their life financially. And so we will be talking about business finances here. I usually work with people on the personal side, but I do have a few business clients where I manage their tracking of their income as well as their expenses. And I am helping them put together budgets so that they are managing the cash flow of their business appropriately.
Okay, perfect. So Emerald, talk to us just a little bit about cash flow. So I want to understand the concept of it. So I understand that there's positive and negative cash flow. So tell me just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so cash flow is basically exactly what it sounds like. How much cash is flowing in and out of your business. I'm not sure if you guys have seen a cash flow statement, but it's very easy to put together. And all it does is how much money basically are you obtaining from products and services, and how much money are you spending on expenses. That is all a cash flow statement is. And so what you do is you usually do an analysis of that every month so that you know where your business bank account is at any given month. If you have, employees, if you're able to pay them, have people pay their invoices on time. If not, if you need to follow up, things like that. Have you paid your vendors on time? So cash flow is very important in the business because if you do not have cash flow, you don't have a business. Simple as that.
Okay. So Emerald, I know from just what I know about you, I know you've been working in this financial industry for over 10 years, but I know you're probably more recently an entrepreneur, probably within the last 2 or 3 years, correct?
Right.
So tell me, just a little bit about your story. So as an entrepreneur, I know you have all this background in the finance industry, but, tell me just a little bit about how you transitioned into entrepreneurship and how cash flow has played a part into that.
So I transitioned in November of 2015. I was working at Fifth Third and I decided to quit. So at that time, I had a generous amount of savings to live on at this time to cover my expenses and my mortgage and utilities and things like that. So like you said, I've been in financial services for over 10 years. I've been in banking, property and casualty insurance. I've been in personal insurance, investments, as well as financial planning. So I've kind of seen all gamuts of financial planning, which helps me deal with my clients today. That transition was very hard because I have been used to getting a paycheck for, every 2 weeks for the last 10 years. And I just decided to quit. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really know that I was going to do financial coaching. I just knew that finances came easy to me. And it was something that I could easily explain. And based on my interactions with my friends and my families, I saw that management of money was more so of an issue than investing money. So, when you work as a financial planner, you have to work with a certain income earner. And those are usually the people that have probably been introduced to some type of financial literacy, either in their parents or some type of their aspect of life. But I wanted to help the people who are traditionally not exposed to financial literacy, who do not understand credit, who do not understand investing. So I wanted to work with the masses in a sense. And so I fully transitioned in 2016, the summer of 2016, to do the financial coaching. I got my LLC and got my first client and all of that.
Wow, that is amazing. So I know just for me personally, very similar story. I think I probably left my full-time job around the same time that you left your full-time job. So cash flow was a little like different for me in a sense of, most people, I know some people just like to leap, but for me, I saved a lot of money, tried to make sure that I was financially set so that my business could be set up for certain things. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. But granted, I did make a lot of different mistakes. I probably purchased a lot of things that I didn't need when I first started out. So
Right.
that leads to transition into my next question. So what, just as someone who helps people manage their money and understand how to use cash flow, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see new business owners use or do, or not even just new business owners, but even, current ones as well?
Yeah, that mistake that you just named, buying a whole bunch of stuff that you do not need. So I know entrepreneurs who go out and buy fancy laptops. They invest in the biggest and the brightest equipment, not realizing that at the end of the day, when you are starting out as an entrepreneur, you just need to get the job done. So before, when I had a corporate job, I would have walked into Best Buy and bought a brand new spanking computer with the warranty. It had to light up and do all this great stuff. I would have never looked at a refurbished computer. However, when I became an entrepreneur, I said, I don't have $700-800 to cash out on a laptop. So I actually got a refurbished computer from actually a shop right here in Cincinnati, and it was $175.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
Just think about stuff like that. There's free resources, utilize them wherever you go. Most metropolitans have a SCORE, and SCORE is a place where they give out free small business resources. So they usually do monthly seminars. They have access to different like platforms. So a lot of people get into accounting systems. They have discounts on accounting systems if you go through them. Just utilize your free resources. Another mistake that I see people make is that they do not set up a separate checking account and savings account for their business. So if you manage your business finances like you manage your personal finances, you are not going to be in business very long. That separation of information is very important for one, the IRS purposes, because if they can determine that you have, they call it commingling funds. So if they can determine that you have commingled your personal with your business finances, and you are liable for that, and something happens, they can include your personal assets in your business assets. So one reason why you fill a LLC, I don't know if people know this, is so that you are only liable for basically what your business is worth. If they find out you are commingling your funds, they can include your personal assets. So if you have a house, a car, anything that you personally own can now be viewed. So it is very important to separate that money and get a business banking account. Huntington and US Bank offer free business checking accounts regardless of minimum balance. So meaning you can have as little as $25 just to start your business account. Another mistake that I see people make is that they do not price themselves. They do not determine a price before they start doing a service or selling a product. I see this mostly in service businesses. You have to assess a value to your service or your product, because if you ask somebody how much is their budget, they're always going to give you a price lower than what you are really worth. And two, that doesn't make you look like a professional, because when you go into Macy's, they tell you that this dress is $69. You pay the $69 and you leave. So you always want to know your price before you start advertising yourself as a business owner. I would say those are my top three that I see with business owners as far as mistakes in finances.
And that last one I think is really important because I know, especially with women, and I see this a lot in service-based businesses as well, women, we typically tend to underprice ourselves. We undercut ourselves and what we're actually worth. So, you know, as a financial expert, do you have any systems or ways for women to understand how they can set their prices? Like, what advice would you have to do that?
Yeah, first you need to determine your costs. So that's a big part of it. You always want to make sure that you are covering your own costs when you are supplying a service or a product. So you need to sit down and kind of calculate everything that takes for you to do to provide the service for them. And then you want to see what what the market is charging for your services. So research it. Just research how much. When I became a financial coach, I said, how much are financial coaches charging? You know, what is the price point? Some people do tiered costs, some people do flat rates. So tiered is based on income. They will assess a price based on your income. Flat rates, you just pay a flat rate, you know, that it is what it is. So research and talk to people who have, you know, a business model that you want to follow. So they don't even have to be in the same city if you're worried about competition or something like that. I actually called somebody from New York. I did a cold call. I found somebody on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I'm starting a financial coaching practice here in Ohio. Tell me about how you usually are typically priced. So not being afraid to put yourself out there are ways that you can figure out how to price your product or your service without kind of undermining yourself, because it's always you do what you do and it comes easy to you. So be mindful of that. But what you do doesn't come easy to someone else. So especially like if you plan an event, it comes super easy to you to plan an event. So you think, oh, it's nothing, like, you know, charge you $50. But somebody is reaching out to you because they don't know how to do what you do. So remember that.
Great advice. I think that's great advice. I'm reading a book right now called Expert Secrets. you just reminded me of something that they said about, you know, people reaching out to you because, you know, you can only be one step ahead of someone else. So people should always remember that. You know, I know a lot of people are very like insecure about charging higher prices because they don't know exactly what their service is worth. But, you know, as long as you're one step ahead of someone else, like, you know, you always have that advantage. So you should always keep that in mind as well.
Mm-hmm. And also with the pricing thing, when you said that people don't know what they're worth, always ask yourself not how much. If you have a lot, if you are, you know, busy, you're probably underpricing yourself. Always be mindful of that. So if you feel like you can't complete work, if you feel you have too many clients, you probably are underpricing yourself. And it's okay for someone to reach out to you and not be able to afford your service, because that leaves room for the next person who can afford your service. So be mindful of that too.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. I really see that a lot within the freelance industry. Like I know a lot of creatives who go through that consistently because, you know, they're always trying to complete a specific type of work. I have a girlfriend always working, literally wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes all day, you know, and really when we looked and sat and thought about everything that she's doing, she realized that she wasn't charging enough. So, you know, that's a realization that hopefully you get sooner rather than later.
Right.
Because, you know, burnout can affect a lot of things and even your cash flow.
Right.
So another question for you. So I was looking up, doing some research. So I want to know just a little bit, what is a cash reserve and why should a business owner have one?
So a cash reserve is basically just cash on hand. Mm-hmm. They call it a cash reserve because banks have a reserve of money that they have on hand in case something happens. So correlating that to your business, you want an amount of money in case something happens unexpectedly in your business on hand that you have access to without needing to go call the bank or you put it on a credit card or anything like that. So it's just a pot of money that you can use for an unexpected, you know, bill, or say you have a location, something happens at the location. You know, it's like an emergency fund for a business. So in your personal life, you have, you know, 3 to 6 months of your fixed expenses in a emergency fund. Same thing with you should have 3 to 6 months of expenses in a business account, in a savings account.
Wow. So 3 to 6 months personal and 3 to 6 months for your business account as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I know that you are the app queen. So I know you know everything about these business apps. I know there's like acorns and other things that I'm not privy to. So just tell us just a little bit about any type of websites, resources, or apps. What are some of your favorites, first and foremost, and why do you like to use them, and how can you use them?
So I don't have a favorite business app per se, but on the personal finance side, I like mint.com, and I also like Clarity. Clarity is a budget app, not as advanced as Mint, but it does show you, it is able to link to like your debit card and list out your transactions. But what Clarity does is they will go through your bills. So they will see, you know, kind of what bills you have on a monthly basis and figure out if you can negotiate a or reduce amount for your bills. So that is an advantage of Clarity. They will go through your bills and see if you have any subscriptions you can cancel, or if you can call your electric company and change suppliers. If your cell phone bill is too high, so they can negotiate all those things for you. That's one of their services. Also, it saves for you. It has an automatic saving feature that Mint does not. So you can say, I want to save $5 a week, or you can say, I want to save $100 a month. You can kind of set that up within the app, and they'll do that automatically for you. They won't overdraft your account or anything like that. It just puts your saving on autopilot. So those are my top kind of budgeting savings apps. For investing, I use Acorns as well as Robinhood. So Acorns is kind of like a fund. So it's attached to your debit card. It will round up your transactions. And so whatever that difference is, that's the amount that's invested. And then Robinhood allows you to invest in individual stocks. So say you have an interest in a certain type of company, you can just buy that stock and put that kind of in a portfolio and watch that grow.
But I still think that's important, even though that a lot of these tools you mentioned are referenced for personal finance, especially with the investing tools. That's money that you could eventually use for your business. So
right.
That's good thought. Good thought. And tell me, how much do these tools cost? Are these tools or something that are absolutely free?
Yep.
Or are there fees?
Oh, now you know I do free apps. All those apps are free.
All right. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So, okay. So I was looking at your freebie that you sent over for the people who signed up via the Eventbrite. So tell me just a little bit about that. And correct me if I'm saying this wrong. It's the cycle, right?
Yes. And I just developed that cycle just for you guys.
Okay. So tell me just a little bit about the cycle. So how does that work?
Let me bring it up so that I don't confuse it or mess anybody up. So,
okay, no.
Your cycle. C is for create, and you want to create a system that allows you to either do it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, that you can incorporate into your normal business hours and do it all the time. So this is a system that you have used to track your income and to track your expenses.
Okay.
Y is to yearn. Yearn means you need to yearn for transparency in your business. A cash flow statement allows you to be transparent with your business to let you know if you are able to hire somebody, how much cash do you need to come in on a monthly basis to cover expenses, what services and products are doing with not is why. You need to yearn for transparency. Cash flow is the transparency of your business. C is for consistency. You need to be consistent at this and do this all the time. It doesn't need to be something you do twice a month, when you feel like it. It needs to be something that you do consistently, same time of day, same time of month, so that it gets finished. L is for leverage. You want to make sure the time, as well as your time management. So you don't want to get to the end of the year and say, I got all these receipts. What do I do now? That makes it difficult when it's time to file taxes for your business. And also it makes it stressful to you because sometimes receipts get lost. You may place them underneath a drawer You need to understand what your business looks like, the financial picture of your business, not on a yearly basis, but like I said, on a month-to-month basis. And then E is elect an accounting system that works for you. So all that is saying, that doesn't mean go out and buy some fancy accounting system. Your accounting system needs to work for where you are in your business. So if you're just starting out, an Excel spreadsheet very well may work very fine for you. You know, you can put in your income, you can put in your expenses, get a total, boom. There are times in your business when you have grown and you have a few clients and some things need to be automated that you need to buy an accounting software. So that's like a QuickBooks or a Xero accounting. So those are platforms that you can use to create invoices for you, create these statements for you. But you do, although those systems are automated, you have to work the system. You have to make sure that all the information that is reflected in it is accurate, so that when you are printing stuff out for your accountant at that time to do taxes, that is actually correct and you don't have to go in there fudging numbers because, oh, you forgot this or you didn't include this. So that's cycle, and it's a cycle because it's like a bicycle, the wheel goes around and around, and you need to do this as you continue your business.
Wow. So you mentioned an accountant, and it made me think about an important question. So I know a lot of people try to tackle their finances by themselves, you know, some because they can't afford somebody else, some because they just don't trust other people with their money. When is the time, in your opinion, where you think that people should absolutely seek professional help to manage the finances of their business? Like, at what point do you get to where it's like, okay, this is larger than me, I need to have someone else kind of handle my books?
That really depends on how well you are with doing taxes. Like if you're using a HR block or a TurboTax to do your business taxes, and that suffices for you, that very well may be fine. But I want to make sure that I've gotten all my deductions, and that someone would be responsible if something was to happen, and that someone not being me. I have my own accountant. So what I do is I prepare a spreadsheet that has all my income and my expenses for each month. I total it, and I send that spreadsheet to him. I do not send him any receipts. I keep the receipts in a bag, but I don't physically dump out receipts and say, here, figure it out. I give him that spreadsheet. He puts my stuff together. He signs it. He's my CPA, and off to our IRS we go. And I pay for that service. That was what's worked best for me. And I suggest, if you are going to invest in anything, invest in that, because one, you want to maximize your deductions as a business owner, because that's one of the many advantages of owning a business. And then two, you don't want to mess it up where it comes back to you and there's an issue and you can't solve it because you don't know the tax codes and regulations, and you have nobody to rely on to help you. So I got an accountant when I first started. Like that first year that I was an entrepreneur filing taxes, I had an accountant.
Wow, that is amazing. No, I think that really is important. I think an accountant is probably one of the most underutilized services that new entrepreneurs seek out for their business. So I think it's good to kind of when you would need that individual. So, you know, going back just into cash flow. So I know that a lot of cash flow sometimes has to deal with making difficult decisions, making decisions about what to cut in their business. So what are some costs kind of off the rip that people should consider cutting when, you know, they're trying to have a consistent flow of cash in their business?
That's a good one, because many things. I could say cut some, like some people pay for Canva. Canva is like, you know, the free service to put together flyers and letterheads and stuff like that. But some people pay for that service. I don't know why, because the free version of Canva is so awesome. But if there's usually a free version of what you're paying for, you can cut it. Unless you're using some type of premium, you know, feature on that. That's, you know, integral to your business. Overhead, go through and assess what your overhead is. So if people think, you know, a brick and mortar is the way they need to go to attract clients, to make themselves seem like a credible business. None of the entrepreneurs that I know have a brick and mortar alone. They utilize co-working spaces. So they have an office in a huge building and they just lease the office. They have access to conference rooms, water, printer, whatever. It just depends on what your overhead is. And it's usually big ticket things like if you are a standalone business, it's usually your facility or your payroll or your utilities and things like that. So be conscious of that. Don't rush out and get those things, because I know a lot of successful entrepreneurs who have none of those things, and they are still able to, do what they do, appear credible, and offer a great service to their clients.
Right. And it's so funny, you mentioned the Canva thing. I actually did pay for Canva. I did do the Canva for Work thing for maybe 3 or 4 months, but then I just decided to cut it because I think Adobe offers a better program. So I utilize the Adobe suite. So I get Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, else. It's just kind of a better designing deal for me. So even though it's a little bit more than Canva, I cut, because I was paying for both actually at one point in time, but I cut that because I figured that the Adobe program would be a lot better. So overall, money there. But in terms of finding a physical space, I think a lot of people become fixated on that. So many people think you have to be in a regular building in order for people to take you seriously, when in fact that is not the case. Multiple entrepreneurs work outside of their home and they get things done. So I definitely think that is a cost that some people can avoid. Now, if you're constantly meeting with clients, if you have meetings, I definitely think it's worth the investment. But starting off, it's totally fine not to have some of those things.
Right.
And I know sometimes too, people jump into memberships and associations. I think that's another big one. Now, granted, if it's within your specific niche or your industry, I think it does have its benefits. But there are some organizations where you don't have to join, and there's not a direct benefit to what you're doing. So I think people need to understand how that goes into play as well. I would also do networking events too, because I know
same thing. I think you can network for free.
When most people start, they're like, I have to be everywhere and meet everybody. And I don't think anything wrong with paying for a networking event, but you just want to make sure that the right people are there that you want to connect with, because people waste so much in these events and there's no return actually going to those events. So I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking about other things that people could potentially cut as well.
And a part of that is knowing who your demographic is. So if you are a business owner and you're saying everybody is your demographic, you have not determined what your demographic is. So that will limit your resources for networking. So one, to figure out the type of client that you want to work with, like determine what your ideal client is. That's age, income, what's keeping them up at night, what are their concerns, how does your particular product or service fix that problem or concern. So that will limit your networking. You won't go to everything because that doesn't have your demographic. Once you master your demographic and get them tight and get enough clients in your demographic and get to know what you can offer and what they like, that's when you branch out to other demographics, and that's when you expand your networking span. So don't just try to hit everybody all at the same time. Hit those networking events. Once you master that, then expand your horizon.
No, I totally agree. There's just so many things, but for whatever reason, that just kind of pops up to mind, because I know that, and it's good, because I think it's good that a lot of people want to get offline and create those relationships, they want to get off of the internet and they want to create those relationships. But sometimes it's not worth it, especially if you're not connected. Be there.
Yeah, especially those like memberships that are like $300 and $400. That's a big expense for an entrepreneur that's starting out. So just be mindful of the return that you will actually get from investing in those networking events, by either clients or exposure or anything like that. You just want to make sure that you are getting a good return on your investment. And just because you are paying a lot of money for something doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to result in a client or exposure that you need for in your demographic.
And then it makes me think about this too, switching gears, but kind of in the same lane. what do you think about like vendors and sponsorships? So I noticed that has become something that's become very popular. So, you know, a lot of people are investing, you know, by creating sponsorships or being a sponsor for specific events. And the same thing with being a vendor as well, because I know sometimes those things can get very expensive or costly as well. So what advice do you have for someone who's looking to start to do some of those things?
So those things are trial and error. Never attach, this is a rule of thumb, never attach your brand to a person or somebody else's business that has a bad reputation, that isn't credible that you hear, you know, people speak negatively, because they will associate your brand with that as well. So always be mindful of what you are placing your brand on. I think those are great ways to kind of start out. Like, again, go to somewhere that your demographic hangs out, and if that is having a sponsorship or a vending opportunity, try it out. I won't say that those opportunities are always bad, and I won't say those opportunities will always result in, you know, a sale or a client for you. But I think those are all, like I said, trial and error. I've done those things in the past. And it really just teaches you a way to how people receive your business, how they would want you that your services offered to them, and what is engaging to them. So it will be a learning experience. So whether you pay $20 for a table, or, you know, $75 or even $400, I've had friends that pay $400 to do vending things and sponsorships and things like that. So it's all trial and error. You know, you never know what marketing strategy is going to work for you 100% of the time. But once you figure that out, then you know that's your go-to, and then you can kind of eliminate all the other things that are out there.
No, that's good. No, you just you made me think about it, because I know it's something that a lot of people are pursuing. I'm seeing it a lot more, especially this year, you know, just in terms of, and kudos to the business owners who think to ask for sponsorships and, you know, to get other people on board to reduce some of their expenses as well. So I think that is a very strategic and savvy thing to do. Mm-hmm. Now, so I want to get into just a little bit of the element of bartering, since this is the Barter Babes. So tell me, how do you think bartering can help with cash flow management?
So, funny story, I just bartered before we got on this to get my hair braided. So I'm going to offer financial services, a month of my services, to get my hair braided. It helps with cash flow because you, as a business owner trying to fund your business and then your lifestyle, doesn't always add up. So any services that you can get as a result of your expertise or your brand is a win-win. Again, same thing. Just because you are bartering, I think you said this before, don't half-ass the service because someone is not physically paying you money, because your reputation and your brand is still on the line, and you still need to give them the same quality service that you would if they were a paying client. But that will definitely help you with your cash flow. Although you you think you are giving away services for free. Not only have you built a relationship with the client, she or he can refer you to someone else who will become a paying client, and that that person may have not been in your network, and now you have gotten another client as a result of you bartering. So that actually reduces your cash flow, but increases your, it's another marketing strategy in a sense too.
Thanks, Emerald. Air high five on the internet. I don't know if we can do internet high fives, but not everybody understands that. So I'm so happy that you understand that. I think that is so important. Curious, how did you, so I'm just going back to your hair braiding scenario. So how did you guys determine that a month of your services would be worth, what is she doing? Like micro braids? Like what kind of style? Like
just the box braids. So I got her price, and I was really just reaching out to her to know what her price was to see if it was in my budget. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I hadn't talked about it. We had talked about another event or whatever. And she was like, did you still want your hair braided? I was like, yeah, I just need to, get the money together. And that's another thing that people, I guess, are a little ashamed to say, like, it's okay for you to need to get the money together. And she was like, you know what? I actually really need some of your financial services. She was like, how much are your financial services? So I told her, she was like, oh, perfect. She was like, I'll just take a month of your financial services and I'll do your hair. I was like, cool. Because when she does my hair, I'm going to, put her out there. I'm always going to plug anybody that does anything for me. I'm going to say, such and such did my hair, check her out, exposing her to my network. And then the same with her, like, she may not say she helped me get my finances together, but she'll promote me in a different way, because I've known that people are a little embarrassed to say, I actually sought out help for financial services, which is fine. I don't care. But I know she'll promote me in a different way, or she'll ask to do an event with me or something like that. So just be mindful of that. Like, it exposes you to a different market that you may have not been introduced to. And you get to keep some of your coin in your pocket.
No, that's perfect. Sorry, I had to have a girl moment, you guys. I was just so curious to see how this transaction was going to work. But hopefully it works great. I'm pretty sure I'll see your hair on Facebook or Instagram, or, one of these places that we follow each other. All right. So this is a question, and this question is related to customers. So I'm curious to know, how can entrepreneurs train their customers to help manage their cash flow? And when I say train customers, how do they put those policies and things in place to ensure that they can get their money on time and to make sure that they even get paid at all?
Yes. So when I first started out, I was doing monthly invoices. And so I did that because I think everybody is in the mindset of monthly, like you pay your bills monthly, so you think you want to get paid monthly. That actually is cash flow. So the faster that you can get money in, the faster you can, cover expenses, and the faster you can, do other things with your business to make it grow. So what you want to do is, when you initially onboard a client, or onboarding is just after you have a client and they have said, yes, I want your services, and they have paid, you want to say in every communication, hey, I'm going to invoice you every Friday. This is going to be the amount. Not, is that okay? Because you never ask in business, is that okay? Because they're paying you for a service, so it's okay. So I'm going to invoice you every Friday. This is your amount. That's it. And then when that person, what I've noticed about a lot of business owners is that although that person does not pay them, they continue to work on the project. So I have communicated, if I am not paid by the Monday of that following week, you get no more financial advice. Like, it's done. So it's basically you setting your standard and you communicating up front. And it's okay to say, I'm not going to do anything else for you until I get paid. It's as simple as that. So communicate that up front. Don't, be wavering about it. Say, I'm going to invoice you every Friday. And that's it. That's on Friday, when they send that invoice, they can already have expected it. They know that it needs to be paid by that following Monday for your services continue. And if it doesn't, just stop services. A lot of business owners, I feel, don't want to stop services because they don't want to ruin a relationship with that client, but that client has ruined your trust and your value by not paying you. And so if they leave you a bad review, there will be other people that come in. I mean, I'm sure Amazon has horrible reviews. But Amazon is taking over the world. They didn't let one negative customer review stop them from making billions of dollars. Just like you.
You still there, Emerald? Sorry, I think I lost you for a second.
Yes.
Okay, got you. Okay. No, sorry. No, like you said something about billions of dollars, and on my end, your finger was just like, anymore.
Oh. Well, I hope that didn't pause for everybody. I hope everybody saw that.
No. I hope so too. Maybe it was just my end, but no, it's okay because you make me think about a good point. So like when I first started, so for those of you who don't know, so I do a lot of like graphic design and things like that on the side, graphic design, videography, photography. So when I was new and fresh, I didn't know any of this stuff. So like if I got someone who said, you know, hey, Whitney, I want you to design whatever, like I would just go ahead and design it. I didn't have any type of deposit set up in place. I didn't do anything. I remember one time, worked really hard on this flyer, one of the best flyers I've probably ever done in my life. But I did it, and the girl was just like, oh, okay, you know, I'll pay you. And like, she never paid me for anything. And, you know, and she basically walked away with a free flyer. So it's really important, especially if you're new or if you're someone who's just starting out. They're so important. They're so important to think about right now, because if you don't think about them, they're going to bite you in the butt later on. If you don't realize how you want to get paid, how you're going to receive your payments, you know, how you're going to reconcile an issue if, you know, you're having an issue with a client. So those things beforehand. I've kind of learned through trial and error, but I wish when I first started that I thought about some of those things. So that way I could have been prepared. When I quit my job in 2015, towards the end, I had a client, and, you know, we started to work together and to do certain things. And like, I didn't have anything together. Like, I didn't know how to train that particular client. Like, you know, I wrote up something real quick, we put it together, and then he's like, okay, we need to go back and renegotiate, and I want to pay you less than this. And I'm just like, no, like we can't do anything like that. So Emerald, you make a very valid point about thinking about how you want to collect your payments. Now, when I work with people, definitely before I even start any work, I collect a deposit. And once the project is completed, and, you know, once the client has, you know, made their tweaks and approved of everything, then I request the final payment, they send it to me, and then within 24 hours, they get the final product. So, you know, you just have to kind of think about your systems. And so, speaking of systems, you know, what are some other things that you can do to maximize your cash inflow? So, you know, I was doing just a little bit of research about, of course, you know, having a deposit or even like some fees, right? So, you know, let's say a client is late, for example. How can you maximize on a client being late?
Oh, they actually have a new system that allows you to receive a loan from a company from an unpaid client. The company pays you the money that's owed while you are waiting on the money for the client. I cannot think of the name of the app for the life of me. I will research that and get that to you guys. That's one option. Another option is to call that person on the phone. So people usually, when you are interacting with them, they are less likely to tell you no if they're saying it, like if you are communicating verbally. People tend to ignore emails easier than they ignore phone calls. And then knowing just when to let the client go. You know, don't ever stress yourself out over one client. I'm sure you didn't go into business to be stressed out by clients. So know when to let that client go and to be okay with that. The client knows that they didn't pay you, so they can't be mad about it. I mean, they can be mad about it. People get mad for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, they know that they didn't pay you. So it wasn't like you failed on your services. They just failed on their end. And not to feel bad about that and to just let them go. Another way to maximize your income is a lot of people, if you have a product, usually keep high volumes of inventory on hand. And going back to what Whitney said, having a system, like knowing when you need that inventory so that your money isn't tied up in inventory when it could be spent for other things like that. So think about stuff like that. Like, am I keeping large amount of quantities on hand? If you have a service business, how frequently am I invoicing? Like I said, I went from monthly to a weekly invoicing because now my money is coming in every week and I can invest that money in my business. So change how you are receiving money. Also think about how you're receiving. Is it PayPal? Are you receiving cash? Do people need to write you a check? Are most of your clients wanting to pay by card? So think about all of that and figure out what is most beneficial to you and how you stream your income to pay your expenses as well as to pay for things in your personal life as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no, this is good. Thank you, thank you. So, Emerald, I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap up for the evening. Advice do you have on spending money for your business? So you have to spend money to make money, but when is it necessary just to slow down altogether?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I think it depends on the business, the industry and the business that you are in. If you are in a, fashion business, you are probably spending money more frequently than someone that, has an accounting business. But you want to do what works best for your business, and know that you may not always generate a profit in your first month. So sometimes when you put together your cash flow statement, it's negative, and that's okay. Knowing that, of course, being okay with that, and knowing that that cash flow statement will eventually be positive as you continue to work your business and find out what systems work for you. How is it easier for you to receive payments? All that will come, and you will start to get in a flow and in a cycle of what your business should look like. And then you'll be able to, get that positive cash flow. In the meantime, it is truly a learning process for each business. So since I'm more client-based, most of my income is varied, and it comes on and it depends on my client activity. So knowing when I need to get new clients, knowing when I do need to keep my expenses low, maybe I can't purchase, those printouts and things like that. I'll do something else in the meantime until I build up my cash reserve to pay for things like that. So you want to slow down, of course, when you don't have any. You never want to have a zero, because that, at the end of the day, again, like I said, that means you have no business. But knowing when you need to slow down is a part of that cash flow statement, and that will tell you. You won't ever know when you need to slow down if you haven't assessed your business from month to month to know when that's appropriate. So analysis is a huge part of that. So if you are just buying stuff, and you have no idea how much money is flowing in or out of your business, you are never going to. So cash flow statement is very important.
Wow, okay. And that's good. And I know in your freebie, you included how to do a cash flow statement. So very excited for people to do that. I'm actually going to fill it out by myself. I keep track of things, but I don't keep track of things in that way. I have like my own little way of doing things. I should probably more so do it your way. So I'm very excited to go through it. Okay, two more questions, and these questions are about you. So for those who have watched tonight and those who will watch the replay, is there anything that you would like to share about business finances that we did not cover tonight?
That we did not cover tonight? Oh, no, we definitely covered the separate bank accounts. We covered getting an accountant as soon as possible. And we covered how to increase your cash flow. So, and then the freebie includes 5 mistakes that you should avoid when you are considering your cash flow. So no, I think we cover everything that I definitely wanted to talk about.
Okay, well, that's perfect. So for those who are watching and wanted to know more about you and to know how to get with your services, because let's be real, some of us will never quite understand some of these things in our business or our personal lives. So how can people find you and connect with you?
So you can always email me at emeraldsparks.com. My website is my name, emeraldsparks.com. I'm very active on Facebook at Emerald Sparks, and then my business page is Emerald Sparks Financial Coaching. And also on Instagram, She's a Gem, SHZAGEM. And then I'm on Twitter too. I'm just starting to use that as a business platform, and that name is Emerald Sparks ES.
Yes. Well, thank you, Emerald. This is very good. I think it was very informative, and I'm so happy that I had an opportunity to talk with you. I know, like, we've talked before, but I'm just really excited that people were able to kind of hear the things that you have to share and to get a little bit of the gems that you already have. So thank you for imparting those gems for us. So, you know, thank you for everyone who has tuned in tonight, and thank you for those who are tuning into the replay. Again, for those who registered on Eventbrite, you will receive a PDF with a few bits of the information that we discussed tonight, including the cash flow and the top 5 mistakes that new entrepreneurs make. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Babes in Charge. My name is Whitney Barkley, and I am once again the Chief Connector of the Barter Babes. Be sure to tune in next month for another edition of Babes in Charge. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the Barter Babes, and also on Instagram at The Barter Babes and Facebook. If you want to learn more about The Barter Babes, you can visit www.thebarterbabes.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at whitney@thebarterbabes.com. Have a great night, everyone.